Yo, yo. Isn't it weird how we sometimes do some things that don't necessarily align with our personalities, and then they aren't, or rather, they don't turn out to be as bad as we anticipated them to be? Yeah, I think sometimes it's weird. It's really weird, but it's also weird how people can describe you to be a different person than you actually are. You know, like people who don't know me, a couple of people will tell you for a fact that I'm a very, 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 very serious person. That some have told me I have a beach face. Some tell me I'm normally serious. But I think if you really know me, you'll know that I don't think there's anyone who laughs um like I do. I mean, I laugh when I'm mad. I laugh when I'm angry. I laugh when I'm emotional. I laugh when I'm happy. I laugh when I'm crying. I laugh when I said angry, right? I laugh like probably all the time. I laugh when I'm sarcastic. I laugh a lot generally. And I think it's also been an issue because my closest friends really don't know like what emotion like I'm really feeling. They don't know if I'm happy, they don't know if I'm sad, they don't know if I'm serious. Because I also laugh when I'm serious. I do laugh when I'm serious. And um I've been in situations whereby I laughed at a serious issue and people didn't take it seriously, and I was being serious about it. But it's just, I think it's just who I am. I think I don't know. Yeah, and some people come to me sometimes for advice. People come to me with serious issues. People come to me because they want advice on a certain matter, and it can be very serious. And I end up laughing at some point. Um, I don't know. I don't know. It's just who I am. I guess if there's a name for people who laugh through everything, then I'm that person. I think I'm that person. Yeah, I think I'm that person. Anyway, if it's your first time here, welcome to the Nature Squad. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and a very big welcome. If you're a regular here, thank you so much for your love. Thank you so much for watching these videos. I see you. I see you. Anyway, a very big thank you. I don't take it for granted. I'm really, really thankful. Yeah. So if you're new here, welcome to the Nature Squad. So without further ado, let's keep to the topic of the day. So today we are talking about transboundary. I love transboundary. I love talking about transboundary. Anyway, we're not talking about transboundary, we're talking about transboundary natural resources. But first, I feel it's prudent to define what transboundary means. So, transboundary basically means something that is moving, or something that exists, or an effect that is felt across a boundary or across boundaries. So, transboundary natural resources, stroke transboundary ecosystems, they are not the same, but transboundary natural resources covers transboundary ecosystems, but I'll have to address them as separate, but you get the point. So transboundary natural resources. These are shared resources that are found across two or more political boundaries. Yeah, like you'll find them passing through. Let's use that word. I feel like it's a better word to use. You'll find these natural resources passing through two or more countries. By political boundaries, I basically just mean countries. Yeah. So I think that's it about the definition of transboundary natural resources and transboundary ecosystems. And if at any point I say natural or natural, no, natural. If I say natural, Hampton is Umwa, by the way. I own it. Anyway, so coming to Kenya, so what transboundary natural resources stroke transboundary ecosystems do we have? So number one, the first transboundary natural resource I would say we have is Mount Elgon. We share Mount Elgon with Kenya and with Kenya. We share Mount Elgon with Uganda. So basically, Mount Elgon is a shared natural resource between Kenya and Uganda. Another transboundary natural resource. Mi naona kama this word is long. Nishinde nikisema transboundary natural resource. Mi transboundary resource. Si mmeshika concept mpaka hapa. Yeah, transboundary resource. Plus, kind of escaping that natural. No, I'm not escaping it. I'm just joking though. Another one will be Mount Kilimanjaro. I was doubting Mount Kilimanjaro, but upon reading, I came to realize that we actually share that natural resource with Tanzania. So the second one is Mount Kilimanjaro, that is shared between Kenya and Tanzania. The other one that we have is Lake Victoria. So Lake Victoria, as you know, Lake Victoria passes through Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. But if you're talking about Lake Victoria itself, it passes through Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. But when talking about Lake Victoria Basin, let me just say studies. Like I've come across research that says Lake Victoria Basin passes through Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi. I will confirm with you that. I'll try to understand the concept behind that. Yeah, so that's basically it. And so in transboundary natural resources, I would say that we have those three. We have Mount Elgon, we have Mount Kilimanjaro, and we have Lake Victoria. So when it comes to transboundary ecosystem, we have the famous Masai Mara Serengeti, also known as the Mara Serengeti. So it's an ecosystem on its own. So that's why I am addressing it as a transboundary ecosystem. So it's called the Mara Serengeti ecosystem. So that's a transboundary natural resource that is found between Kenya and Tanzania. In Kenya, it's known as the Masai Mara. In Tanzania, it's known as the Serengeti, but it's generally the Mara Serengeti ecosystem. And Kenya owns 40%. They not own, but like the Mara is 40% in that Mara Serengeti ecosystem. So many people usually like wonder what's the big deal with the wild-based migration. What's the big deal? Like why is it such a big deal? So first of all, if you think it's not a big deal, I think shame on you. Second of all, it's a big deal. Okay, I already said it's a big deal. So that the reason why this happens, the reason why the migration happens, is because mostly the wild beasts are usually in the Serengeti, but when the dry season comes, they have to migrate to Kenya, to the Mara, for their survival, because now they have to look for forage, and they find forage in the Masai Mara, in the Mara part. So that's the cause for the wild beast migration. So I think we're generally done with transboundary resources in Kenya, as I've said. Yeah, they're basically just those four. So now going to transboundary natural resources in Africa, stroke transboundary ecosystems in Africa. That thing is so long. um, First we have, okay, there are many. I'm trying to see which one I'll start with. The first one, let me start with the major one. The first one is is River Nile, obviously, the largest, the longest river in the world. So River Nile basically passes through, or is shared, as you said, is shared between Egypt, Sudan, South Sudan, um, Ethiopia, Kenya. Sorry, I was cut short. So where was I? Oh yes, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda. I don't even have, I mentioned them earlier before I was cut short. So yeah, you can Google up and you can see all the countries that the River Nile passes through. Another transboundary natural resource in Africa. Okay, one way of looking at it is looking at the rivers that generally pass through countries, right? We have the Limpopo River to the south of Africa. We have the Orange River. We have the Congo River that passes through the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Republic of Congo. Yeah, that's another way of looking at it. So one of the transboundary ecosystems that we have in Africa is the Congo rainforest, which is also Africa's lungs. Yeah, basically. So the Great Congo rainforest. I think it's the second largest rainforest in the world, second to Amazon. The Congo basically passes through many countries. It does. It passes through Cameroon. It passes through the Democratic Republic of Congo. It passes through the Republic of Congo. It passes through the Central Africa Republic. The which other country I'm forgetting, but you can also Google as well. I think Gabon. I think Gabon as well. You can Google, yeah, all the countries that the Congo Basin, the Congo River Basin passes through or occupies. So that's an example of a transboundary ecosystem. When I say, as I said before, when I say transboundary ecosystem, it's still the same as transboundary natural resource. It's just that it's better. Iko na maringo kiasi, it likes ecosystem iko na maringo kiasi, it likes being recognized like separately, differently, like how last bonds like to be recognized that they are last bonds. Yeah. But do we say? So that generally it. And we go to the world transboundary natural resource in the world. I'll get back to that later. Let me focus on transboundary ecosystem, which is the Great Amazon. As you know, Amazon is the largest rainforest in the world. It is literally the world's lungs. So yes, as I've said, it's the largest. It passes through 9 countries in South America, in the South American continent, including Peru, Brazil, Colombia. Guys, you will Google the countries. Yes, you just know that there are 9. All I know is that there are 9, and yeah. So if you're interested in knowing all the countries that the Amazon cuts across, you're free to Google. So that's one of the world's transboundary ecosystems. About transboundary natural resource, I want to talk about this a bit. The reason why oceans are not okay, some people argue that oceans can be a transboundary resource. There are people who argue that way, but personally, the reason why I don't think we can count oceans to be transboundary natural resources is because when it comes to oceans, oceans are special because a country can only own part of an ocean that is 12 nautical miles. 12 nautical miles is basically like 22 kilometers past the shore, and that area is called the territorial zone. So a country only owns the territorial zone, which is 22 kilometers from its shore. That's where a country owns. That's the part of the ocean or the part of the sea. When I say sea, I still mean ocean. That's a part of the sea that a country has jurisdiction over, and a country owns that part of the sea. There's another part of the sea called the economic exclusive zone. The economic exclusive zone is 200 nautical miles from the shore. 200 nautical miles is roughly 370 kilometers. So in the economic exclusive zone, or in the exclusive economic zone, in the EEZ, sorry, a country does not own that part of the sea, but it has a right to use the resources of that part of the sea, meaning the country has a right to fish from there. The country, if also, oh, and by right, I mean the sea itself, and also the flow of the sea. So if a country wants to mine from the flow of the sea, and also if a country, sorry, I keep on getting interrupted. So where were we? We were in the EEZ, right? So as I was saying, countries have a right to use the resources in the EEZ. If they want to do the fishing there, they have a right to the EZ. If they want to mine, they can mine. Yeah, I explained that it extends also to the ground itself. But countries just have a right to that. They don't own, they don't have jurisdiction to that area. They don't have jurisdiction to the EZ. They just have a right to. And by having a right, this means that no other country can come to use those resources. No other country can come and fish from there, for example. So, like, for example, in our case in Kenya, no other country can come and fish from our exclusive economic zone because we have a right to to our EEZ. Then we have another territory that is called now the high seas. So basically, most of the oceans and most of the seas is composed of the high seas. And in the high seas, no state and no country has jurisdiction. So no country owns any part of the high seas. So any country has a right to fish at the high seas. Any countries have, you get what I'm saying? So that's how I was trying to say that when it comes to oceans, it's very difficult to it's very difficult to call oceans transboundary natural resources, because in the first place, countries don't own much of the seas. Countries don't own much of the oceans. Countries only own the territorial zones. So, but basically, but still, oceans, I think, for me, oceans can still be. I don't refuse that oceans are a transboundary natural resource. They are, but for me, oceans extend to be transboundary natural resources only from territorial zone point of views. Yeah, that's my general opinion. Yeah, so I think that's basically it. So I'll very fast jump into the problems or the challenges that transboundary the challenges basically that face transboundary natural resources or transboundary ecosystems. And the first major guy, this is the first major challenge is the principle, the sovereignty principle. So the sovereignty principle basically is whereby every country and every state is free to exploit their resources and is free to use their natural resources in their jurisdiction as they please, or according to their according to that country's, or according to the country's environmental policies. But the sovereignty principle is that a country is free to use its own resources as it pleases, as long as it doesn't affect the neighboring countries, or the effect doesn't go to the surrounding countries, or it doesn't cause damage or harm to the other countries that surround them. So this is a very big challenge on its own. We've really seen this, for example, with the case of the Amazon and the fires that we experienced last year. Most of Amazon, most of the, I would say 60%, but most of the Amazon is located in Brazil. And the president of Brazil does not find a need to protect the Amazon. He looks at the Amazon from an economic growth perspective. So for him, the like last year alone, there were like 80,000 fires. I kid you not. I'm not kidding you. It was that serious. There were 80,000 fires, and the fires were so bad. They were burning like at a rate of one football field per minute. I'm not even joking. Like now, guys, me, I'm serious. I'm not even laughing. It's that serious. But it wasn't a big concern, like to the Brazilian president, or to the president of Brazil, because to him, he was looking at it, or rather, he looks at it as from an economic growth scope. So he looks at it as, instead of having this Amazon, why don't we cut down the trees for livestock, for agriculture, for mining, because also there is oil and gas and uranium in Brazil that apparently the Amazon is preventing them from mining. So yeah, and that brings us to the sovereignty principle, whereby a country feels like it can do as it wishes with its resources. So that's a very big challenge. And the second challenge is political instability. Basically, the challenges are so many, but I'm just going to highlight the major challenges. So another challenge is political instability. And for this example, I'm really happy that I explained about oceans in relation to transboundary natural resources, and that I feel that it 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 relates to, like, oceans relate to transboundary natural resources as far as territorial areas are concerned. So basically, on the issue of political instability, I will use the example of the Federation Republic of Somalia. So Somalia has had a civil war from 1992, and this has caused many things. So one thing that people don't know is that Somalia is endowed and has a very high concentration of marine biodiversity. This is because of its geographic position, and also Somalia has the largest coastline in mainland Africa, and has the second largest coastline in Africa. The largest coastline is Madagascar, but so it has the largest coastline in mainland Africa. And Somalia also is found in a unique tropic marine ecosystem. which explains the high concentration of marine biodiversity. So, how did the Civil War affect that? So, because of the Civil War and because there was no security in the country, there's no governance, there's no stable governance at that time. Um, it led to foreign countries coming to fish there. So there was a lot of illegal fishing, there was a lot of overfishing. Countries would overfish. And by overfish, I mean overfishing. We're talking of 300 million US dollars annually of tuna, of lobsters, of shrimps. That's overfishing. And they're doing this because it doesn't affect them. It doesn't affect them, so they can take and take and take as much as they want. Also with the Civil War, so the shore, the coastlines. Okay, let me explain like this. The Civil War led to formation of militia groups, right? So like the coastline was divided into militia groups and into fiefdoms, which were owned by warlords. So European farms would also come to the warlords, and they would pay the warlords for them to come and dump their waste um, on the shore that was adjacent to their fiefdoms. So on the shore that was adjacent to their land, you get. So foreign farms did that a lot. They paid the warlords to literally come and dump their waste there. And we're talking of hazardous waste, we're talking of radioactive waste, we're talking of lead, we're talking of mercury, we're talking of uranium, we're talking of cadmium, we're talking of wow, we're talking of dangerous waste here. And the worst thing is that when they were dumping this waste, some of them were in leaking barrels. That it has affected Somalians to some extent. That at some point in time they were experiencing skin problems. Radioactive substances are really dangerous, and if they have that effect on humans, I want you to imagine the effect they have on the marine ecosystem and the marine biodiversity that was there. It was huge. And I feel all this would have been prevented if they had a stable government at that time. And that example, the Somalia example, also brings us to another challenge, to another problem, which is transboundary environmental pollution. Because you see, in as much as that waste was dumped there, it will not remain in the confines of Somalia, especially so that we are talking of a transboundary natural resource that is flowing. So of course it's flowing even to Kenya and to the other parts of the Indian Ocean. Yeah, so that's also another challenge. And the final problem I'll talk about in relation to transboundary natural resources would be poor harmonized policies and laws, stroke or and poor enforcement of laws. So you find that some areas, the areas where these transboundary natural resources occupy or ecosystems, they don't have laws to govern them, or they do have laws. Some do have laws. Some do have good policies, and some do have good laws, like the SADC. They do have good laws. but sometimes also implementation of those policies and laws, they are very poor. Take the Amazonian countries, for example. The Amazonian countries, they have policies and they have laws governing the transboundary natural resource of that's governing the Amazon. I don't know why I love saying this word so many times, but you get, they have laws governing the Amazon, but their laws are still poorly implemented, as with the case of Brazil. And also, we have like the sovereignty principle interfering with those policies. And yeah, so those are one of those are few of the challenges, few of the problems that surround or that affect transboundary natural resources, that I would say for now. So yeah, I think that's the end. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how. I don't know. When it comes to the end, I feel like it's supposed to be like a celebration, not a celebration of sorts, but I think you just don't say bye. So I'm wondering what I should say before I say bye. Anyway, that's the end. um, that's the end. Hope to see you next time. Thank you for watching, and I love you. And till then, all my love.